Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Life Starring Deb. I'm so happy to see you. This has become one of my favorite pastimes, doing these videos and uploading them to YouTube and connecting with you all. So thank you, those of you that keep coming back, and to my new subscribers, or those of you that haven't decided if you're going to subscribe or this may be your first time tuning in. I hope by the end of this episode that you too will subscribe and be a part of the Lifestyle and Deb community, where we are just talking about real issues and real folks. We're the folks, right? So today I want to talk about going back. As much as we talk about moving forward in our life, moving forward, letting go of the past and things of that nature. Sometimes it's important that we go back, specifically to rekindle a friendship. Now, when I first started doing YouTube, the second episode that I did was called Who You Mad At? If you haven't viewed that video, then I'm asking you to go back and look at that video, because that video deals with forgiveness and specifically around a friendship. But today's episode is not going to deal with that. But what it is going to do is going to ask you to look back on a friendship specifically. Now, not a mate or an old boyfriend or girlfriend, unless, that's who you want to rekindle with. But specifically, I'm talking about our friendships. Because sometimes we have friends, and for whatever reason, we're not friends anymore. And sometimes we revisit those reasons why, and we washed our hands of it and said, you know what, I'm not going back. And then sometimes it's like, you know what, it could be worth it to go back, but it's been some years and I'm not going to revisit that. Let things be as they are. Well, this past weekend, I was invited to brunch by a friend of mine, and I had no idea who else was going to be invited. I was free, and I accepted the invitation and I went to brunch. Well, lo and behold, there was someone else that was invited to brunch that I was friends with years ago. Now, I cannot remember what exactly happened that we were no longer friends. There was a group of us, and we were all very close. And something happened within the group, and probably words were said or feelings. The group itself started to kind of fall apart, and I remember just walking away from it like, you know what, I'm not going to deal with this. And I didn't for years. Now, me and this particular person were actually friends. We had a really good relationship. We were close for a small period of time. And she was part of, the group. So, when I walked away from the group, I walked away from the friendship as well. And I believe that was a mutual decision. I believe that she did the same thing. So we were both invited to brunch, and I would have to say that over the years, I've definitely thought about her, and I've definitely thought about, what happened, and never really coming up with an answer in my head as to like what really happened with us, and never reached out. I have to mention this also. I never reached out to find out. I just kind of let it go. I did see her on social media from time to time because we're connected. We know a lot of the same people. So I would see, sometimes her pictures or posts, but nothing that, nudged me to, reach out and try to communicate. So life went on until it didn't. So I saw her at brunch, and I saw her walking up, and then next thing I know, our eyes were locked into each other, and she said, "Hey," and I said, "Hey," and it was, "How you doing?" "I'm good." "How are you?" "I'm good." And then we were escorted into the building to be seated for brunch. And again, there was about 9 of us, so there wasn't an opportunity to have conversation between the two of us about, like, where you been, what you doing. It wasn't that kind of setting. We just kind of let the conversations flow as conversations flow when you're at brunch. When brunch was over and it was time, for our goodbyes or whatever, we embraced. It was good to see you, take care and, same kind of thing. And then, went to her car and she went to her car, went to my car, and, the night was over. But I could not stop thinking about it. And it was starting to bother me. Like, what happened? Like, how come? Because she still appeared to be that same very warm, very caring person that I knew years ago. So I reached out. I went to her social media page and I sent her a message. And I said, hey, real brief. It was really good to see you. I'm glad to see you doing well. And then I said something like, I don't know what happened, but if you are up to it, if you want to, I would really like an opportunity to rekindle our friendship. And she said, absolutely, I would really like that. And then I took it a step further and I said, I don't know what happened. I don't remember the particulars about why we stopped speaking, but let me apologize if it was me. If I caused any ill feelings between us, or if I said something or did something that rubbed you the wrong way, let me apologize for that. And she was like, no need. She said, I was at a different headspace back then. And I certainly was. I am certainly not the person today that I was years ago. I was a little hot-headed years ago. I may have, spoke out of turn years ago. I was very opinionated. Sounds like I'm still very opinionated, but in a different kind of way, right? So I think that we are definitely on the road to reconciling and beginning a new friendship, picking up from the old one, but definitely it's going to be new because we're new. We're different. We are different people. And that's what I want to tell you. Sometimes we just have to give people grace. The same way that we want people to give us grace, we need to give folks grace because people, we are not the same. We may run in the same circles, we may know the same people, we may have the same experiences, but that doesn't mean that we're the same. That doesn't mean that we react to things the same way. That doesn't mean that we're quick to forgive. There may be a number of reasons why we get standoffish, where we see, red flags, and before we can give the person an opportunity to show themselves of who they really are, we're done with it. A lot of things, there's a lot of factors, and sometimes it's peer pressure. Sometimes it might be the group of people that you all hang with. And the majority of that group may not care for you. And so then if you still hang with that group, then you kind of fall in line with everybody else. So there's a lot of different reasons why people's relationships or friendships fall apart. But there's equally a lot of reasons why you should, if you can. And so what I am saying to you is there are definite benefits to reconciling with a past friendship, especially if you can. If it was so small or petty or whatever reason it was that you stopped speaking, if it's worth it to go back, then go back. And that doesn't mean that you have to have a long, drawn out conversation about what happened. Sometimes that's necessary, but not always. And if you don't have to, then don't. Just pick up where you are now and move forward. When you reconnect with people from your past, if it was a positive experience before the breakdown, those are memories that the two of you can go back and talk about, right? Using those past memories and experiences and laughter and good times and maybe even sad times to move you forward in the life that you have right now. As we begin to age, it is so important that we have friendships and relationships that are meaningful and that can help us through the hard times because, as we age, there are going to be hard times, even harder sometimes as you age than they are when you're in your midlife, right? So Reconciling can be a huge benefit to you. Definitely when it's someone that was up close and personal, someone that you really cared about, and for whatever reason, you just stopped speaking. It might be time to pick up the phone, send a text, send a inbox on social media, and reconcile if you can. Now, just because you may be ready, the other person may not be. So be patient and understanding. If that person is not quite ready to have a conversation or to move forward in the friendship, give them some time. But just the fact that you reached out might start that person to thinking, you know what? I think I would like to have a conversation with that person. Because you start to think about the kind of person that they were, and you smile about it, and you shake your head and you be like, whoa boy, we had some good times. And good times can come again differently because we're different people. But I would just bet that that person that you most think about is probably often thinking about you as well. So reach out. So that is today's episode. Just quick and to the point because it's so necessary and it's so needed. And we're better. We're better today than we were years ago. And if not better, we're definitely different. We're different people than we were in the past. So give yourself and that other person an opportunity to show who they are now as they grow older in life. So that's today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you got something out of this. And until we meet again, until the next video, be good to you. Take care.